everybody, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Mojoverse Podcast. I'm Mo.
And this is Joe.
And on this episode, we're going to be talking about more manga, TV shows, movies, and a final recap of World of Final Fantasy. So, Joe, you took in a manga called Tarot Cafe. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's not that new, but I just came across it because I was looking for a romance. It's not a romance. It actually kind of reminds me of grim fairy tales because they're kind of set up in little stories as you go along. Basically, the main character owns a cafe, which she does by day, and then by night there's supernatural creatures that come to her after midnight seeking her helps to get their tarot cards read, which help them make decisions in their future. Each story is really pretty dark actually and doesn't really end well for that character. Also, the main overall enemy, Belias, which is also like he's a devil. He's obsessed with the main character. You don't really get into the story until way later on in the mangas, but I think they're trying to pull some sympathy for him because he's a devil and he doesn't have any emotion, so it's not really his fault. And I kind of hate the ending because, you know, she's able to, spoiler warning, forgive him, and they just act like nothing happened because he was masquerading as her best friend the whole time and she didn't even know. So that was actually a pretty huge plot twist. I'm not sure if I liked it. I thought it was cool because I wasn't expecting it at all. But no, you can't be friends. He kills her mother, kills her lover, just torments her for hundreds and hundreds of years because she ends up becoming immortal because he kind of finds a way into tricking her into it because he wants her to be around forever so he can do this to her.
I remember you were talking to me and said, so if there was somebody who killed your mom, tormented you for hundreds of years, would you be friends with him? Or no, would you go for supper with him? And I'm like, what? And
well,
I remember
ending
those
scene, he just comes into the cafe and sits down and they start chatting. And
Yeah. But what you were saying earlier about like the tarot cards and the small stories. So you're saying like each demon has like a little arc and they kind of do it like episodically, and then there's an overarching story then.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Like there's a story about werewolves, and then there was a story about a cat demon person thing, and then, you know, an old grandfather tree story, and yeah, kind of in fairy tales, but written in a very gothic, dark way.
Cool. So a new thing we're going to be doing in the podcast, if you've listened in the past, we give our ideas of what maybe a way to improve the series, what we thought of the series, all that kind of stuff. But I think from now on, we're also going to be giving a rating. It is going to be out of 10. So how would you rate this anime or the manga for you out of 10?
I'd say I'd probably have to give it a 6.
Okay, that works. So what I'm gonna want to do in the future is actually take down all the ratings we give, and we're gonna have that up on our website just as a nice recap of the episode. So another manga that you were taking in was Paradise Kiss. Now I know that's an older one too, isn't it?
It is, and the reason why I decided to actually read it is because I wasn't really a fan of the anime. I never finished it, but I wanted to because I really like the author is also the author of Nana, and that's one of my top 10 favorite anime / manga. I like both of them. But I couldn't get through to the anime. Something about the art, the animation, character voices maybe, I don't know, something I didn't like. The manga was a bit easier to read. I'd have to say what I liked about it the most was the fashion. It was really beautifully drawn. I liked each fashion piece that they show because it's a group of people who go to an art school and they decide to make dresses and apparel basically to win a competition, which is really important for them to start their careers off this. They want to be designers. So I really liked everything that they created. It was actually really nice to see, and they actually have a fashion show.
Nice.
towards the end where you actually get to see their finished product.
Cool.
The main character who they decided looked perfect to model their designs, she ends up in a relationship with the main designer. Basically is the one who comes up with all of the drawings. They get into a relationship pretty early on, and basically the rest is them trying to understand one another because they're just so different. And the point is supposed to portray an unhealthy relationship, I guess, them trying to cling on to something like a fantasy that's not really there and not really working for each other.
So they're kind of trying to validate each other through their partner then.
Yeah, like they end up fighting a lot. And I mean, the main character, the guy, George, he's actually a pretty mean jerk.
Okay.
I didn't like him that much, and normally people like the cold tsundere type, but I don't really think that was it, where they end up being cold-hearted, but their heart gets warm. It was more of a realistic character who just kind of says what he means. And he never said anything nice about his girlfriend. I think he just flat out said that, he likes her looks but hates her personality, which was pretty terrible.
Fine. You're saying people in the fashion industry are vain. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, so just, you keep thinking, well, they're finally gonna... They're gonna figure out what's not working and they're gonna fix it and it's gonna end well, but actually they finally move away from each other and say, okay, that's it, that's the end, and they end the relationship right towards the end. And kind of I found it to be a really fast ending. I think they could have developed it a little bit better, because you get to see kind of like a little epilogue where she's married now to the guy that they I wouldn't say briefly, they talked about him quite a bit, but just didn't expand on there was no relationship there. She had like a bit of a crush on him, and that was it. He was more of an important character to the other the secondary characters of the book. So I found that it was a little bit weird for them to be married when there wasn't really any indication that they would start dating.
Is that just they just ran out of time?
I think so.
Okay.
They just hurried up the ending and that was it. But overall, I'd say I would probably give this a 7 out of 10.
Okay. That works.
So next we wanted to talk about Attack on Titan, because Season 2 finally came out. There's 4 episodes out right now, so of course we watched all of them. We can't wait.
Yeah. No, it was a really hard wait to wait for the anime to come out. I really didn't want to spoil anything by reading the manga, because I find the anime just, you can do it a lot better with like jump scares, just having things move on the screen, and with the music, sound effects, and all that kind of stuff. To me, it adds so much. So I wanted to keep watching the anime, but I didn't want to ruin it at all with the manga. So it was a really hard wait, and I have to say they kind of picked up where they left off. They give a little bit of a recap, but me with a bad memory, I don't remember a lot of things that happened in Season 1. But they've upped the gore factor a lot. But they've also introduced a couple of seeds that can play in. We have a couple theories now. I don't necessarily want to spoil anything on this one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, let's spoil things. They seem to be implying that the Titans are a disease somehow, and it can spread.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking, is maybe that's how they were created. It's a type of virus, because what happens, I think, in the second episode, there's Titans appearing out of nowhere, so they send out some scouts.
They assume the wall.
Yeah, that there was a breach in the wall. There has to be a hole in the wall. How else do they get through? But there are... they went all the way around. There are no holes. They can't figure out where the Titans came from. One of the characters goes back to his village even and makes note that there's a random Titan that's still alive that's, on a crushed house. It can't walk.
It's all messed up on the house and, upside down, and it's creepy.
And it spoke, and it reminded him of his mom. So that's kind of a huge giveaway. Like, maybe... when other Titans eat people, those people become Titans, and they're actually, that's how they're appearing now.
Because there was just 9. They had 9 Titans that apparently breached the wall. They couldn't find a breach in the wall, but now there's a lot more. And now there's a monkey Titan, and
yeah, they're adding a lot of different stuff. Like now, like there's not only from last season was a reveal that there was a traitor among them, and it was a female Titan, and she was kind of like Eren. So now they're looking for other traitors. I'm not really sure what their goal is. It doesn't really make sense to go become a Titan and go against humans. Like, why do you want to control Titans like that? The ending of episode 4 shows that there's actually another one.
Yeah.
So
that was well done. I think that was neat how they revealed that, right, with the can of tuna and that kind of stuff. That was actually pretty cool. It gets you thinking a little bit more. And there's
they read a different language, I guess. What is up with that?
No idea. I really have no idea.
And it's actually kind of weird because you don't really see any really female Titans. Is that something that's not really common?
Yeah.
Because they all look like males.
Except the one of last season.
Yeah, and I find if you watch the opening theme all the way through to the end, I don't know if it's spoiling something or if it's supposed to be...
there's a flying whale.
Yeah, now there's a bunch of animals that look like they're Titans or something, because there's a ape-like Titan now. So are we saying that the virus can reach animals? Is that going to be a new thing? Because now they're attacking the horses, and apparently they never did that before.
But also the monkey Titan can speak and control the other ones. Yeah. So I guess they're saying it can or if it's another evolution in the I don't know. In the opening scene,
so there's got to be a way to make them.
In the opening scene, there's a T-Rex, an elephant. What is it? A blue whale,
a turtle.
Yeah, it's just the weirdest thing. So it's like now I think they might be implying, like, this is all speculation. We don't know. We're only 4 episodes in, and we are watching it in English. So we're kind of speculating at this point that maybe they can transfer. Like they see in the opening sequence. There's like some weird orb. On the they have the outline drawn and there's an orb on the inside.
I think that's their hearts.
So it's like that can transfer to somebody else, or if it's like a disease that takes over somebody, or maybe anything like any animal or something like that. So we have no idea, but we're intrigued.
Yeah, and I'd have to say when Mo mentioned that the gore is upped, not in a sense where it's bloodier, but in a sense where it's creepier. Like that one scene that really got me.
Episode 2? 1, 2, something like that.
Yeah, when the guy goes back to his village and everybody's gone. There's smashed houses, but you don't know why everybody's gone. There's no blood, there's no dead people, so we don't know what happened there. But anyway, there's still a woman that survived because she can't move very well. She's in her house, and there's a daughter just sitting there traumatized. And there's a smaller Titan just slowly chewing on her while she's still alive.
Yeah.
Just eating away at her body, her legs, and just doing it very slowly. And they kind of lingered on that scene, and it totally disgusting, creeped me out.
Oh yeah, you didn't sleep that night, did you?
No.
Oh well, but that was pretty cool. I'm gonna hold off on doing the actual rating on this one because the season's not over yet. We are going to cover it again once the season's over, and then we'll do a full recap. But like I say, we're intrigued. They've introduced some neat concepts that we're thinking will pay off in the future. We have our theories about it, and honestly, I hope we're right. But oh well. But completely switching gears now, we watched all the second season of The Magicians. We've mentioned that on the podcast before, I believe, and I don't know, the dialogue, I think it's starting to get to me.
Yeah, we were pretty optimistic with the first one because we thought it was really cool to have more of a higher rating for adults with
a little bit more
magic.
Of a mature kind of Harry Potter, but for adults type of thing, The characters I find are quite unrelatable. But
well, now it just feels like it's too depressing. Everyone's depressed. Like, I know they're trying to do something about, growing up and it's hard and, adolescence and all that stuff. But they fail all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think they have any wins. And it starts getting kind of long. And the dialogue, I don't know what happened. You said, it's so terrible now. Like, everything they say is just ridiculous because it feels forced.
Yeah.
Like, now they're trying too hard to be funny by using more adult words.
They're trying to be crude, but they're forcing it. It's not in the situation, or they'll swear, but and depending on where you're watching it, they'll actually show them swearing or not. They'll blank it out, but it fits the situation. But I don't know if it's the delivery. It doesn't call for it all the time. Like, they're just trying to be cool by throwing it in there all the time, and it ends up being. And also what they say too. I don't really have an example, but what they say doesn't fit the situation, or it feels very juvenile.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, it's so hard to identify with the characters too. The magic itself is interesting. And they have the whole thing with the Traveler character. I forget his name. He was really good in the first season. I actually really liked him. But now he's in the library.
Penny, you're talking about.
Penny, yeah. And the library is really interesting, too. And it's kind of creepy. I like that. But I really liked Elliot as a character in the first season. But I really don't like him at the end of the second season. So.
Yeah, it's like he can't snap out of his depressed state, and he's less funny, and he was supposed to be the comedic part of
kind of jovial type, nonchalant to him,
comedic
but
relief,
but I think the characters change, and that's okay. I'm all for character development, but if you kind of establish a character and then completely change the personality, it gets a little hard to watch, and I think they're doing that.
Yeah,
so
they don't like anything, and they don't like anyone, and it's just, it's kind of stressful.
Yeah. It's not the worst show on television by any means, but it's just...
I guess I'd have to say the two interesting plot points right now would be that Alice is alive again. They found a way to bring her back from being a Niffin.
But now she's all upset.
She's having a hard time adjusting, I guess. So there's someone else who's depressed.
Yeah.
They didn't really, to me, at the end where they kill the two gods that apparently created Fillory. I didn't know that whole time that god, the goat god or whatever, ended up being the only one, and his brother who created Fillory. I thought he was just a god amongst lots of gods, because there are tons of gods and magical creatures in that place. I didn't know he was the one who took a crap in the wellspring or whatever dumb joke.
But I don't see that's the juvenile thing that gets to me, is that they have this whole serious thing with the beast and all that kind of stuff, and then the guy's like, oh yeah, I crapped in the wellspring. It's like, what
Yeah.
It's just weird. I don't know.
So
it's not
interesting
unwatchable,
though that
but
they killed them now.
Yeah.
And now there's no magic left in the world. There's some other higher beings that just said
apparently
no more magic for you.
Their parents is like, where do you think gods come from? They have parents.
Council,
and then they just got rid of it, which is an interesting thing to do. What do you do in a show called The Magicians if there's no magic?
Yeah.
So I'm still probably gonna watch season 3, but I don't want to. But I don't know. I'd have to say, for me, probably about a 6 out of 10. If they fix,
generous. I was gonna say 4 or 5.
Yeah, if they fix the dialogue, well, they've intrigued me with the very ending of that last episode when they get rid of the magic and whatever.
That's like the first time something happens all season, really.
Yeah, exactly. So that saved it a little bit, but I'd say maybe 5.5 out of 10. What did you say?
5.
5, yeah. Okay, I'm good with that. And then we were possessed with something. I have no idea what we did. So we decided to watch Riverdale. And
I want to see what the hype was all about.
The hype or the hate.
It's supposed to be based on the Archie comics. Really, the only thing it has in common with Archie is the names.
Yeah, they use the names of the characters, and that's about it. it's like a murder mystery kind of intrigue, and it has
pretty much like Pretty Little Liars. That's what it reminds me.
But it's all the worst parts of Pretty Little Liars mixed with all the worst parts of Degrassi or something like that. It's weird.
High school drama.
Yeah. But one problem with me was they go, here you go, this is the story, go. But they never really gave a reason to care. And I don't want to say that in a very cold way, but whenever you're writing a story, you want to give people a reason to watch. There's interesting characters, or there's some sort of stakes, right?
Well, you're talking about basically the motive. Like, we don't know. We start at the very beginning with a high school captain of the football team. He's been murdered, and he has a twin sister, so we're just trying to figure out who would murder him, and the ending is kind of anticlimactic, actually, because this is a big spoiler warning. Yeah, so don't keep listening if you haven't watched the end yet and you want to know who actually killed him. It ends up being his dad, and even though we were kind of assuming that, it still kind of falls flat. Yeah. Especially because I don't know if he kills himself or the daughter and the mom did something, because that was just weird how she warned him first and they gave him the time to leave the house and go into the barn, and for some reason you end up finding all the drugs or something that he was selling.
Apparently his business was a front for the drug business he was doing, and and
now we'll never know what his motives are and why he did that. I find that's just poor writing, because it doesn't really make sense, actually, because the son was running away, and maybe that's the reason why he killed him. But if you're going with the fact that he found out about the drug business and didn't agree with it, well, he was running away anyway, so I'm not sure if he was going to really tell anyone.
He just seemed to want out, you know?
Yeah.
And then he's...
But he takes the ring at the end, so maybe he was upset that he wanted to run away and get married with someone from that family. Yeah,
you know
your
what
own
I mean?
son.
It's just everybody seems to be acting... You know, what I was telling you, basically, as we were watching it, and a lot of the things could have been solved by people just kind of getting over themselves, right? Everybody's all kind of entitled or whatever. And
snobby.
I was just like, you know what? Get over it. And that whole season wouldn't have happened if everybody just kind of didn't think so much of themselves. And I know that's kind of terrible to say, but...
Well, they kind of make light of serious situations, too. Like... It's a lot darker than the Archie comics, which is kind of more light
Ethel's
comedy.
dad tries to kill himself.
Yeah, there's suicide, and then there's the whole statutory rape at the beginning with the teacher, and we're just like, never mind, she can just run off, even though she's dangerous.
Yeah, she just took off. And kind of implied that she's done that kind of emotional manipulation to other students in the past. And that kind of stuff. There's a kind of a strong implication there too. So I'm just sitting there like, well, okay, yeah, let's let her leave. That's fine. It's just weird. It was weird.
Yeah, and I kind of find it funny now with how it ended with Archie's dad being shot. Yeah. So we don't know if he's gonna live or die. But I mean, they're still teenagers, and now they're all like, Jughead has to. He's an orphan now and has to live somewhere. For some reason, his mom doesn't want to take him in. So, I kind of feel like they're getting rid of all the dads for some reason. Like, Jughead's dad is in jail.
And Jughead joined a gang. It's like, come on.
Veronica's dad is in jail, although he's coming back. Now Archie's dad is shot, so they don't like...
You know, and I really did enjoy the Archie comics when I was a kid. And having the show, it's basically nothing to do with the Archie comics. They could have done this entire show with different characters.
And I don't know if it's just me, or are there like a few plot holes with the whole story? I mean, with the whole Jason thing, the way he left, people keep recounting like different things. Like, he wanted to leave because he didn't want to be part of the family thing.
Yeah.
He wanted to leave because he wanted to get married. I'm just confused with exactly what happened because, I mean, he pretended to be dead on July 4th, and then his dad kidnapped him right there on the 4th for 7 days.
Yeah,
do what? To torture him to get info out of him? I'm not really sure.
I don't know. Because they said at one point that he was
and
killed
they said at one point
a week after.
Yeah, so
his dad kept him in that basement for a week. Like, I don't know.
And then, or something like he broke up with the chick and he didn't meet where he was supposed to. I don't know. There was just a bunch of weird things, and like I'm not really sure why he left and how he left.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go back to that, though. I think they wrapped up that story, and now something else is going to happen.
Wrapped up the story, yeah.
Now we have to find out who shot Archie's dad. I think that's going to be the whole new mystery of season 2.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think the only redeeming thing of the show would be Betty and Jughead's relationship. I don't know. I'm kind of interested in it. I think it's cute. They've got a lot of good chemistry. Kind of like a West Side Story romance.
Well, they have chemistry. I think maybe the actors have chemistry, but the in the story it's a little odd, just how they're playing it. It's not the fact that they're together, but it's just Jughead is kind of like a drifter, and then Betty's mom's insane. And it feels weird to me.
All the moms are insane.
That's true. Yeah. So
I find it actually pretty funny when the adults say Jughead's name.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Like I say,
weird.
It would be semi-watchable if they didn't use Archie characters and it was just a drama.
I think they're just using the name to pull people in, and really they could just do their own show.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really not a fan. So rating, Joe, what do you think?
I'd have to give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I was thinking 2.5 or 3 myself. So I don't know. We try and be positive on this podcast, but this one was kind of deflating. We watched it just to see what was it all about. And the only reason we finished, there's 2 reasons. 1, so we can talk about it on the podcast, and 2, because they did a half decent job of doing a whodunit, and that's about it. All the other characters are so unrelatable. It's not a very easy show to watch. But so we're gonna actually move on now to World of Final Fantasy. So that we've already covered it already. But what we've done recently was we finished the actual story. But then there's some weird. We're gonna spoil it as well, so fair warning. And then there's a whole bunch of post game story. But it turns out that post game story is very important.
Yeah, the reason why we want to do a part 2 on this game is because basically the whole plot was revealed at the end, so it needs kind of a review on it. So what we did was, the part we didn't get to yet was we went to the castle. So we figured out where the enemy stronghold was. It's kind of weird they have like 50 names to them. The Bahamutian army, the King Bahamut, even though that's not his name is Brandilis, and they're called also the Circle of something, but we know them as the X9 Knights, and I don't know why they did that. That's so confusing. Like they couldn't settle on one name.
They've got different writing departments to write a story, and they meshed it together.
Yeah, I thought that was a little ridiculous. Anyway, so we go to X9 Castle, and that was an extremely long level. That was just... And there wasn't...
But they make you go up and then down and then up and then down.
Yeah, and there wasn't that much to do. I mean, you're just walking. That actually kind of reminds me of every level. There's actually a few levels where you don't even get into random encounters. All you do is literally just walk. Like, nothing else happens. So what is the point of that?
There was that bridge level where I was tempted and I was very close to doing this, was putting a piece of tape on the analog stick.
That's when you're on
so
Alexander. It was
so
cool
boring.
that they brought Alexander as an Esper in this one.
I like it. Actually, I'm a big fan of Alexander. Just have like this massive building be an Esper.
Well, they say they're like
cool.
the forbidden ones, right? There's a few forbidden ones. Although for this one, I think they made some up because they said Balam Garden was the same, and so was this other place. They have a few other places.
And we're not experts on Final Fantasy either, especially the ones before 7. But there was a lot of references to all of them, really.
Yeah, and it gets a little bit confusing with what they call the monsters in this world too. I mean, they started using espers towards the end when you get we had to get the last 4 espers, which was Diabolos, Bahamut, Odin, and Leviathan.
Yeah.
They called them espers, but I thought the whole time we were calling them mirages in this world. Like, that's just what they were. But now there's 4 summoners that you have to use to open and close this gate that we were trying to do at the end. So they're called summoners, but we're called mirage keepers, but the parents were called architects or something, and we were called keepers, but this adoptive daughter, Wynn, which we finally find out she was adopted, but we don't know why she was adopted and what happened to her parents. She's apparently a descendant of the first summoner, and what does that all mean? Like, they can all summon Esper/mirages, but they say it's different.
Yeah.
Like, it's all kind of... They said trapping their mirages is different from summoning.
Yeah. But they don't really take the time to explain it either. One of the thing that was really cool, a little bit later in the game, we started noticing that there were either female versions of the summons, or like Shiva has a male version of her. We thought that was pretty cool. And they also had...
Those were cool. Ramu's granddaughter, Ifrita, and Shivrora or something.
Yeah, Ramu's granddaughter was really funny.
Cool designs.
Yeah, really cool designs. I do have to admit, it's a very cute kind of design, but it still worked, and I'm totally okay with that. The dialogue, again, I don't mean to be such a stickler on dialogue in this podcast, but it's rough. We did mention that in the last episode that we talked about World of Final Fantasy, we're not entirely sure what their demographic is. Are they going for experienced Final Fantasy people? Because they kind of have to, because they're calling back to these old games.
Well, they were trying to do both.
Yeah, but they wrote the dialogue so juvenile, so kiddie-ish, that it basically ruined the game for me.
They're trying to... they're doing serious situations, but every time Lon says, "What the honk," it just
in a serious
kind of
situation, it takes you right out of the game. And I
we
don't
wanted
care.
to mention as well that Seraphi's voice is so terrible that we actually mute it when she talks.
Yeah, she says more than a couple words. I have to mute it. I apologize to the voice actor, I really do, because she's listening. But it's rough.
Getting back to the castle.
Yeah.
The story at the end, you find out that apparently Lon and Rain were just big jerks, I guess.
Yeah.
The mom she had all their mirages, and they just keep saying that they were trying to help her. I don't know. I think what she was doing is reining in bad mirages or something for the world. She's the only one that can do that. So the kids were trying to collect some mirages to help her out with that, but it was stealing her power at the same time, because I thought there was a whole bunch of mirages, because there's a whole bunch of different ones of their kind, and they come from different worlds, is what they were saying, but yet for some reason when they collect a mirage, I guess she can't, and they're taking her power. So that was also really confusing too, because that there are storyline espers, because when you get a star beside their name, that's the specific one, but they said that there's a bunch of Ifrits. There's a bunch of Shivas.
We caught Shiva, but there's Shiva Star, and then we caught a bunch of other ones, and you get a Babaliz, and you can level them up and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was confusing. So they ended up figuring it was a good idea to open a gate, and
just for fun.
let through some gods, and hopefully the gods will help them, even though they know nothing about them. And I don't know where these other gods come from and why they want to take over Grimoire. Basically, their parents end up getting possessed by random gods that are following Brandilis, I guess. Brandilis doesn't need to possess anyone. He just comes straight through.
Yeah.
Who are the Bahamutian soldiers? I don't know. I think they're possessed people, because at one point Refia's uncle gets possessed by one, and now all of a sudden he's got like some weird lizard tail, and he's in armor, and they all look like that. Why they need to possess people, I don't know. They didn't really go into that. And what are with the Cogna? They want to replace regular mirages with robots that they can control or something.
Yeah. There was a big lack of motivations in this too.
Well, yeah, or explanation as to why. Yeah.
Brandilis says, "I'm just going to take over this world," and it's like, okay, why?
Yeah. So of course, Lon and Rain, we know that they already lost their memory. Rain is sort of remembering things, and Lon isn't. He's the dumb one.
Oh yeah, but he says honk, so that's fine.
So we end up defeating them, and for a lighthearted story up until now, both the parents die. Yeah. They have to kill them. Well, they said they were dead long ago because when they were possessed, but I don't know. I think they could have figured out a way to save them. So at the end, Lon ends up sacrificing himself in order to stop Brandilis, and it ends in a way where you think that's how it's going to end, and then they win, and Rain is just... I don't know why we found this kind of funny.
I think we're bad people.
This scene at the end, like, where the credits are, and you just keep seeing Rain going... She's back home, well, in this fake time-stopped world. I don't know if she calls that home now. I don't know where her real home is. That's kind of confusing. Yeah. But she goes back there and just starts doing random, everyday...
Well, she's
house stuff.
just sitting watching TV.
Yeah, and she's
as
all
Tama's
depressed.
Braiding her hair, and she's all depressed. And for some reason, it was so comical.
She's just sitting in a puddle or something, all depressed.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was terrible. And then all of a sudden, you see a hand, like as if Lon's coming back. Although that makes no sense because that's not how it happens. Tama appears and ends up giving all of her lives in order to give Rain the chance to go back in time and save Lon. So now it says postscript. So that was kind of a weird way of doing it because it's kind of still part of the main story. I mean, you're not just going to stop playing there if you're going to redo the ending to get a better ending. We didn't know until way later, but you're supposed to finish all the intervention quests. I don't know if they give you one at the end, so you have no choice but to do it and then redo the ending in order to get the secret ending.
After playing through the ending twice, we were pretty much done at that point.
Yeah, so you get a secret ending. I didn't feel like redoing it because it's pretty long. I mean, you have to fight like 7 times boss battles, no saves in between. The last Brandilis was pretty brutal.
He was tough.
I'm sure there was a way to set up your party to, build your resistance and probably have a better strategy. But at that point, you're just going to use the same ones that you leveled up to, we were at level almost 70. Yeah. And, we wanted to stay that way because then your health is terrible. So there's not really any time unless you want to really train with everyone else to set up a different party. But you're kind of already used to this one, so... That's what we did. Speaking about the interventions, I know last time we said we didn't really get what the point of that was, but now we kind of figured out that once you do an intervention and you come across a mirage, you can't imprison them there, but it opens up a different... It kind of gives you access to them in the Colosseum. It opens up a level in the Colosseum. You go there and then you can imprison them. So I guess that would be the point. It's sort of like you're unlocking new ones. But it would have been better to get more info on who the girl in the tea room is. They said she was a guardian of time, so we're not really sure why that exists and if it exists outside of Grimoire, I suppose. But... again, no explanation on that, really.
This is my thing that I really wanted to do. Just thinking about it a little bit more. So if Rain, after Lon sacrifices himself, and Rain goes back, she's by herself, and she's in an area where time stops. So it's strongly implied that it's going to be like that forever, right? And now there's this girl in this like interdimensional tea room where they look enough alike that they could have said, if you were going for a really dark ending, you could have had her go completely crazy, forget who she is. As it says, the girl with no name, right? Kind of do like something from Doctor Who in the last season, where just have her just completely live forever, and then in the future, however many thousands of years, she meets up, through timey-wimey with Lon and Rain from the game and kind of helps them through their story.
I was rewriting the story.
No, but I'm just saying, like, that would have been actually really cool, instead of or imply that post game if you're going to kill off a character, because to me the ending is the ending, the post game is kind of extra stuff. So to rewrite basically everything that happened in the game in the post game, that's tough,
And the secret ending, by the way, we ended up looking it up online. It's literally only 5 seconds long. It's really not worth all your trouble.
No.
The only thing is that Anna Crow ends up saying, "Oh, by the way, here's your reward," right at the end, and throws prism cubes to win, and Lon and Rain's voices, you can hear them coming out of the cubes. So I'm not really sure what that's implying. Are there souls inside there? Did she grab them from the other world, or are these sort of like copies or something?
It's a very cryptic game. They don't feel the need to explain a lot of things.
I think you could go for a second game, a sequel, if they wanted to. I think that's the point. Or it's just to resolve the like, they're okay, they're here or something, but it didn't really give you much closure anyway to see like what happened to them.
Yeah. The saving for that game was the gameplay. The big battle mechanic worked pretty well with that stacking. It's a little different for a Final Fantasy game, but it was fun. You're able to collect the mirages, so you like a good monster hunting game.
And something else we came across towards the end, because you didn't really get the chance to do it at a lower level and earlier on, was the extra large mirages. It takes all of your AP for both of them, though, then replaces all of their mirages with one extra large mirage.
But it is cool seeing the both of you standing on this massive mirage, though.
Yeah, they are pretty cool. You'd have to level them up pretty high if you're just using one. But at the end, all of the espers that you get, the 4, they're extra larges, so...
Yeah,
I don't think
really
I'm going to
cool.
take the time to level them up, but they look cool.
That was really neat.
Then at the post-credits, we have this weird dancing thing going on.
That dance was better rendered than the entire game. The graphics of that one scene was better than any scene in the entire game. It really confused me. During the game, you get like these weird anime type scenes for the cutscenes, which is jarring because you're going from like a 3D kind of PlayStation 4 graphics, whatever, to anime, 2D animation. But then right at the end of the game, we get this like beautifully rendered
little
with good lighting, and then they're all dancing. It's weird. I have no idea what to think of that.
But speaking of the champions, I just wanted to mention a few things really quick. One of the side quests that you can do, which was my favorite, is with Yuna and Tidus together. They don't know each other, which I find it kind of weird, because another side quest, you find out that Lightning knows Snow. Well, they're sort of related because, I mean, he's dating or getting married to Sarah. So there's already a connection there, but I guess no one else has a connection. So you do the Yuna and Tidus quest. I can't really remember which one it is. They're on the Besaid Beach area. And they do the whistle scene together, the iconic whistle scene. That was really cute. A couple other things like Tifa's outfit. I don't know what was up with that. Everybody has their regular outfit and she's not wearing her outfit, so I found that to be a little bit weird. But I would have liked some more interaction with the actual... I think the cross interaction was interesting and they were trying to do that a little bit more, but from the same games would have been cool, like Tifa and Cloud have a quest together or something. So all in all, now that we're done the game, I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. It's the dialogue that ruins it, but other than that, I still had fun. I was
gonna go maybe a 7. It's not my favorite game. The mechanic really does save it a lot, but the dialogue is really hard to get over for me. So
and the plot is kind of terrible.
Well, the plot is just like the plot of any Pokemon game, where it's all about the gameplay and the plot's just there. They tried to go really serious and they tried to go light at the same time, and it kind of clashed together for me. So yeah, but I think it's pretty good. We'll put it that way. It's pretty good. So we went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in theater. That was I was really worried about that one because it's so hard to...
Sequels haven't been doing well
Sequels
lately.
are hard to do, and something that was successful and good and funny as the first one, I was really worried about going to see a second one. So we really enjoyed it.
It was super good. Like, it was really funny. All the jokes are still really funny again. Baby Groot is adorable. At the beginning, you see him just dancing while everyone else is fighting. They kind of did those jokes a lot where, they're fighting and everyone's, like, being thrown around, but it's no big deal. Like, my favorite scene, I would have to say, of the whole movie is the tape scene. Like, they're looking for tape to put over a button, and you can just hear Star-Lord's voice in the background. Hey, Gamora, you got any tape? Hey, Drax, you got any tape? Yeah. And that was my favorite.
Don't press this button will kill us all. I am Groot? No! It's so funny.
Yeah, just a lot of funny scenes. The story overall, where you finally get to find out who Peter's dad is, because they were hinting at that a little bit towards the end, where people were sensing something powerful from him, like he's part human but part something else. So it's kind of cool that you find out he's a Celestial.
That was neat. It was a bit of a stretch, but it was neat.
No, I kind of saw it coming, especially at the end that he wasn't supposed to survive holding that thing, and he did.
Yeah.
So he would have to have been pretty powerful. Kind of sucks, I guess, that his dad, they ended up having to kill him because he's trying to, take over the world.
Yeah. That one's a little rough. I have to say with the...
I thought it was cool that they added the fact that he wasn't the only one, that he's done this with tons of other children from other species.
And he had to wait and see which one had the connection to the light and that kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so it's too bad that he finally learns that he has this power, and now he doesn't have it anymore. Yeah. So now he really is just plain human, So
they fleshed out Yondu's character a lot more. I would like them to have done more.
I had a feeling he was gonna die. Sorry, spoiler warning.
No,
but
spoilers are funnier if they come after.
All of a sudden, they give him way more attention, and they're making it all like, oh, he was such a good father figure in the end. And I'm like, yeah, they're doing this on purpose to make us more sad.
Yeah, but it's too bad because he's such an interesting character, and they do flesh him out a lot more in the comics, and he's really interesting. So I would like him to
They didn't really talk about his race even, did they? Like, why he's blue?
No. They talk about the arrow a little bit, but no, not really. It is neat, he has that final redemption right at the end. I like how Yondu and Rocket kind of have a bit of a connection too. That was nice.
Drax got to talk a lot more in this one too, and that was funny.
And because you always had him as a like a funny character. He's a warrior, so he's just enjoying himself. But there was that one scene with the empath where he was just kind of sitting there talking about his daughter, and she connects with him, and she just starts crying, and he's just as stone faced as he usually is. So that adds not artificially. vicariously adds a lot of depth to the character, right? But doesn't really sacrifice the stoic nature of the warrior, right? It has the empath give the depth. It was pretty neat the way they did that. I thought that was pretty cool. They furthered Gamora and Peter's relationship a little bit.
The unspoken thing.
Yeah. And they really did a lot more with Gamora's sister too, delving into kind of their backstory a little bit and what's it like growing up with Thanos, which I can't imagine. So there's a lot.
He ripped her body apart, replaced it with metal.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that they, because they are leading into the Infinity Saga. So they laid the groundwork really nicely.
So I'd have to say I would give this a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it.
That's the number kind of just popped into my head too. I was leaning maybe 8.5, but I was laughing out loud at some points. Couple of jokes fell flat, but there's only one or two. So yeah, I'd say, how about 8.7 and a half? Yeah. It was a really good movie. I really did enjoy it. Well, that's actually all the time we have for the 11th episode of the Mojoverse Podcast. We have a bit of a short episode, but that's okay. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and YouTube at Mojoverse Sudbury. You can get the podcast on iTunes, and you can get it on Google Play as well.
And we're actually getting a website soon, too, which we announced on our social media. It'll be mojoverse.ca. Keep checking our social media to find out when we're actually going to launch the website.
That will be launching soon, so for sure. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. My name's Mo.
And this is Joe.
And we'll talk to you next time on the Mojoverse Podcast.